Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening.
It's one mic. It's one mic.
Give me a moment, would you, friend? I've never been on trial for my thoughts before.
Welcome to the Only One Mic podcast. It's Carl Gerard, Brooklyn Dre, just me. How y'all doing?
All right.
What's up?
So listen, we got us a very, very special guest in the house today. Can you please introduce yourself, mystery guest?
Hello. My name is Zahyia. I'm a musician out here just a squirrel trying to get a nut, doing my thing, trying to make things happen.
Where's out here? Where we at?
Rochester, New York.
There you go.
Rochester, New York.
Rochester, New York. See, just really appreciates that.
I know about Rochester.
Yeah.
I do.
All right, that's what's up. So you're an artist.
Yes.
All right, so let's go ahead and go into that whole journey there. You know what I mean? Tell us how you became an artist. What was the thing that sparked that passion?
I blame my father. He was a jazz musician, studied composition at Berkeley, and really just kind of raised me on jazz mostly, and then funk, rock, soul. I've been plucking on pianos, trying to do my thing since I was 3. And so I really that's where I find my comfort zone stage. I feel more comfortable on stage than I do in my living room. So
Really?
Wow.
So Zahyia, I was really listening to your music when I was riding home from work. And when I pulled up in the driveway, I said, let me watch this video. So the video was for Foul Soul Child. Am I right?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yep.
Did you really shave your head in that video?
I did for multiple reasons. My husband was so mad at me too. He was like, he tells me we have like a fake prenup. So he's like, listen, your hair can never be shorter than mine. That was his fake prenup. And I'm just like,
I thought that was so dope.
Thank you. Yeah, it was really, to represent a lot of things. The relationship that Black women have with our hair is just runs so deep. And as ironically, we're talking about this now, especially considering the slap heard around the world.
Yeah. What was your thoughts on that? You're a married woman. Do you think that was the right time? Let's just say if that was you, hypothetically speaking.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest. So
all right, let's be honest.
I'm a little old school. So my initial thing was like, oh, that's so romantic. Like he's defending his woman. But then, when I look at it for the bigger picture, it's just it was disturbing.
Yeah, it looked real bad.
Yeah, it was.
Bad. I mean, I don't know, something about all of them sitting there with tuxedos on and 2 Black men slapping each other. It just didn't seem like it was a Black man slapping another Black man. It didn't seem right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then I think too the thing that bothered me most about that is that the takeaway from the whole Oscars in that moment was not the fact that Questlove just won an Oscar with her in Black excellence that had happened with that moment. Instead, the overall takeaway was, Will Smith, slap Chris, and I don't know, just another example of how our narratives, the negative things that happen with our overall experience, are highlighted, and the excellence is diminished. So
I don't think that was a way, the proper way to protect your queen. I totally disagree with that. And I feel as though she should have been protecting her king all this time, and maybe he wouldn't have had an outburst like that.
I don't think nobody knew that he was going to do that.
I don't think he knew.
Because he looked like he was walking towards them, like as if it was a joke or something like that. And then when he got to him, I was surprised that he's kind of sucker punched when he got to Chris Rock is a better man than me.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah,
he's a better man than me.
I'm gonna keep it all the way live. Nah, I couldn't do that. I couldn't. Yeah.
He handled that in a very professional manner, and I was pleased. I mean, if he had punched him at that point, he wouldn't have been wrong because he got disrespected. But the fact that he was able to hold his composure and not go left with it. The only thing I was upset about with the whole thing with Chris Rock, it wasn't even a joke, because the joke wasn't offensive to me. I didn't know she had alopecia. I thought he was saying it because of her whole look, the bald head with the green outfit, G.I. Jane, made sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But everybody says, oh no, she has alopecia. She has alopecia, and that was wrong. I'm not trying to be funny. I have a friend with alopecia, and she's been through a struggle getting plugs out of her scalp and everything. I just didn't, I think, like Andre, like what you said on our last show, I think that's the forum for when they come to that setting, they know they're going to get teased a little bit, and it's all just in fun. Like, it didn't have to go to the extreme like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was upset at Chris Rock because I felt like he didn't have to issue an apology. It was nothing for him to apologize for. He's a comedian. That's his craft. He was supposed to be able to find some humor in the audience. He was, going around the room like what they do.
Yeah.
To be quite honest with you, the joke was just corny in retrospect. I'm gonna keep it funky. Like when you listen to it again, the joke is actually just some old schoolyard garbage. It's that's something like a second grader would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm mad there's not going to be a G.I. Jane 2.
How about that? I thought he was on to something.
Hey, they might cut her a check now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe they'll reach out. Who knows?
Cut her a check.
Who knows?
To be honest with you, I never was a Jada Pinkett fan. I don't know the ins and outs. Was it alopecia or whatever like that? But I think she actually looks the best I've ever seen.
I've heard people say that. Like, she actually looks better this way. So I don't know. That's his thing. But we're not talking about Jada.
I want to know something, and it's kind of a weird question. But being an artist, I'm a poet. I do shows for this year be 14 years. I did most of my shows in Delaware, and then when I came back to New York, I did like 4 shows out here, open mics so it was comedians, musicians, poets, singers. But I know that in order for me to write, because sometimes you get writer's block as a poet, and in order for me to throw a show successfully, I have little rituals that I do, like little things I do before every single show. And I'm going to tell you one of them. I'm not sharing all my secrets, but one of them is I have to watch Shada's, Belly, or Young Guns 2 before every single show or before I write. Do you have something that you do that's kind of just routine before you prepare to write a song or perform on stage?
Not before performing on stage, honestly, it's putting on makeup. Like that, something about the transition, because also I'm a mother, so my life off stage doesn't look anything like my life on stage. And
right.
So for me, putting on makeup is like that transition. It's like, okay, game face, like here we go, kind of thing. But with writing, it looks different. For me, I'm a people person, so I love talking to people. I love hearing people's experiences and their stories. And I also am kind of a little bit of a science geek, so I really like the idea of multiverse and the future, and quantum physics is like another thing, like Nikola Tesla and stuff. Okay, I'm rambling. Sorry.
No, that's fine. You keep do your thing.
Yeah,
you explaining
those are the things that it inspires me. So a lot of times, just reading a book inspires me, and then I wrote a song called Cosmic Serpent one time, and that was based off of a book I read about the ayahuasca plant and like the experience that people had with shaman down in South America. So that's really where my source of creativity just comes from, human experience.
Sounds like you've been doing a little mushrooms or something like that.
Peyote. No, I was gonna say, I hear that. I hear it in your work, because it is, and I was saying this before you got on, you can hear like a spiritual side to your work, like even in the music, the beats that you use, the way you're putting the song together. I gotta tell you, you don't sound anything like what's on the radio. And like I said, I'm not knocking anybody else on the radio, but your sound is so different. So I can only imagine the challenges that you face trying to break through in the industry, because it seems to me like once you have a Chris Brown out there, then every record label is looking for their Chris Brown. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Or their Justin Bieber. And to stand alone and be that person that nobody else has your style and nobody can copy your style, that has to be a challenge within itself.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing that I've been told pretty much my entire career. The first thing that anybody will say is, okay, well, who do you sound like? And then if you don't sound like anybody, can you alter this and that and the other to sound like this person, or whoever is the X Factor lady of the day. So yeah, that has been, but and I can't do that. I don't do well with labels. I don't do well with boxes, and it's just that's not my thing. And part of the reason why I keep doing this is because the narratives of what is expected for a Black woman in the music industry is so limited that I just feel like I have to just keep going with it. And I mean, if I never make it any further than where I am, then that's what it's going to be. But, I'm not giving up.
As long as you enjoy what you're doing, I've seen like a lot of female rappers trying to get into the industry. And the first thing they do when they get a little bit of paper from doing those little, local shows is they change their body. They fly to Colombia, they change their body. And, if that's what they choose to do, fine. But it's just sad that everybody feels like in order for them to be noticed and to get on, because it should be about your skill. It should be about your craft, right? And then it should be about your look, but why can't you just look like you? Why do you have to look like everybody else in order to be noticed?
Right. Yeah.
That's a good point. But this always is something that comes up. We're all of a certain age at this point. We have our kids, round kids, however it works. And you notice now that there is like a over-sexualization of women in music, Black women in particular, and you being in the industry and being subject to, a lot of people telling you to change and you should do this and you should do that. I just want to ask you, how did we go from ladies first to WAP? Like, where was that transition made? If you ever look at any of that old stuff where it was in the 90s, more or less like woman empowerment, things of that nature. Not to say you didn't have the Little Kims and the Foxies and all, but that stuff came a dime a dozen. Whereas now it's just like oversaturated. And I always tell people that you will never see Taylor Swift do what Cardi B is doing. Nobody will ever make her do that because she's going to protect her brand. She's going to stay with, the audience that she has. Why do they have Black women do this? Like, what is your opinion on that?
Yeah. Unfortunately, there was a study done by USC about this, and there's basically there has been an elimination of Black women behind the scenes. It's decreased significantly since the mid 2000s to 2020. I think the statistic was something like there's 5%, let's say 5% of producers are women in major label type status. And then of that 5%, 1 out of 180 are women of color. So it's like a ridiculously low amount of women that are actually part of the writing process, the producing process, and even what we're seeing, with the women who, like, I don't know about Cardi B, but with all of the 360 deals that are going on and how much control record labels actually have over these major artists who are women, I don't believe that their voices are truly being representing authentically who they are.
A lot of them are just not talented. I mean, it's almost like just grab a strip. You can grab a stripper out the strip club and just write give her a nice beat and let her say, 3 verses, and then it's a hit.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as she can get on the camera and dance and shake, it's a hit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a hit. I'm quite sure, and again, I try to pull away from secular music these days. I'm quite sure a person like Lauryn Hill might sit down and say, man, I actually sat down and wrote something and put something together and had this whole thought process how my album was going to go and, what I was trying to push out to the world. It seems like all of these strippers just throw it out there and, throw it up against the wall. If it's stick, que sera, sera, you know what I mean? That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's these formulas. It's the, formulas, and then there's this layer, I call it the wall of toxic masculinity, that's just really controlling everything, all the narratives that are really going to go out to the public when it comes to top 40 Billboard type artists. And that's all that they believe that Black women can do. And so until we continue to break through, like there's been so much movement happening in film and television when it comes to Black women directors and executive producers, and we need to see more of that in the music industry in order really for any of this to change. So that's what I'm hoping to fight for.
Do you think that's possible?
I hope so. I think as the music industry continues to crumble the way that it is, I think that, fortunately, I see a lot of Black women who are writing their own things and producing but it's all on social media. It's all in, TikTok and Instagram. That's where I find some amazing Black women doing things that are different from the general narrative of what we're expected to do. So I think that the more that people start pushing pushing against these gender norms and stereotypes, and the more that we start pushing away from or moving away from the Billboard watered down, I mean, I am kind of opinionated.
That's why you're here.
Watered down music too. I mean, and honestly, now I'm going to date myself, but I am from the 90s. That's, 90s hip hop art. Like you mentioned, Queen Latifah, MC Light. There was Moni Love, even Bahamadia. Man, we have so much diversity.
So y'all knew about Bahamadia in Rochester?
Yeah, well, you know what? I'm not originally from Rochester. I should say that. But I mean, I'm from like downstate near Westchester County, New York.
Okay.
So, but yeah.
That's where I'm at. I'm there. I'm here now. I'm right by Yonkers.
Nice. My brother lives in Queens, so I do head down there quite a bit, but yeah. Bahamadia was like one of my favorites.
Bahamadia is from Philly, isn't she?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay, all right. That's what I thought.
So I wanted to ask, like, who right now I don't know. First, let me ask you this. Do you listen to the radio at all? Y'all get Hot 97 up there? No?
We do, but it's a different Hot 97. It's the same corporation, but they give us a different, different version.
I know. I get it. So you probably have to go on like stream iHeartRadio or something like that so you can hear Hot 97. But with that being said, like who are you feeling like on the radio? Or as an artist?
I don't really listen to the radio. So the people that I'll call out are like, I really like No Name.
I like No Name.
Yeah. I think her name is Lakia. I think that's how I say her name. Then and also like I go down my nerdy jazz hole. That's what I call it. Where I'm like Esperanza Spalding and Thundercat, Flying Lotus.
Yes, Esperanza Spalding is dope. I listen to all of this stuff, and I'm really digging. It's a guy, and I said I was gonna write his name down. I can't remember what his name is, but it's a guy, a new guy. Well, he's probably not new. And his music is really, really good. And I went to go visit my sister in Atlanta, and that's all she was playing. And I was like, "Who is this?" Because my sister's a music major, so she's always finding new artists, and she always thinks she's better than me. We compete over this. We do.
Let me ask you this: have you had any personal experiences in the industry right now where people have asking you to be take a little bit more off, or that kind of thing?
Not anymore, but when I was younger and I was trying to make all this happen on somebody else's dime or direction, then I got it all the time. I was in the studio again back in the 90s because
was the best era though. It was the best era for just about life in general. So
it really was. Yeah, I still, I don't listen to a lot of music from the 90s anymore, but that's still my heart of where everything that I do, kind of the source of it comes from. Well, not everything, but but yeah, I had faced a lot of okay, well, we need you to lose X amount of weight, and then you're going to work with this guy here. Because I was always producing my own music and writing my own beats. My dad, he had a MC500 and a TR-808 drum machine and a Tascam. It was a Tascam.
That's
four
old
track
school.
tape.
That's old school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I was always writing my own music and doing my own production with what I had, but it was always, you know, never through what others would imagine that I should be doing or how they felt I would be heard. So I was always told that, well, you know, nobody's gonna understand what you're trying to do here. This isn't gonna resonate with anybody. So you have to change this in order to get the masses to come in and understand. But one thing that I just decided a long time ago before it was trendy is to always just do authentically what was me. And it's always progressing, it's always changing. And who I am today is not going to be who I am tomorrow. I can't force myself into being something I'm not. So I just, I finally just got the courage to really do this by myself recently. And COVID helped with that. That was like a wake up call where it's like, you know what, it's now or never now. I'm done with hiding behind a blanket.
I mean, like I said, I don't really listen to like secular music that anymore, but you know, I'm not going to say and lie. Say sometimes every now and then I'll put it on in the car or whatever. The one thing I noticed that all of this music seems like one big mixtape. You know what I mean? It seems like once the music comes out, you got to go get this dude, you got to go get this girl, and all of it just seems like one big group. When they put their, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
these people is just like, when you put it on the radio, I guess it's the top 15 people that's on every second on the radio. You know what I mean? So I don't even know how music can come back. You know what I mean? It used to be a time where you had an authentic sound, you know, going back from the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, everybody had an authentic sound, you know what I mean? Now the sound is just who's ever hot, we're going to ride the wave and we're going to put this guy on it and that person on it, and we're going to keep pushing it the same way. So,
yeah.
You know, but again, like you said, I guess it's just some people that may break through every now and then to change the cycle, but we'll see.
I just wanted to ask about From Exile to Exaltation, I believe. That's your project? Because that's what I was listening to on the way home. Can you tell me a little bit about what inspired you to do that?
Yeah, that was a collaborative project. So I wrote two songs on that one. And that, you know, Andre's talking about, you know, how he doesn't really rock with secular music anymore. My faith it runs deep with me. Yeah, even on my most latest release, the last track is it's a 26-minute meditative offering, which, you know, we got to learn how to meditate. But the Exile to Exaltation, that was inspired because of the writings from the Baha'i faith. And there's I think one of the tracks, gosh, it was so long.
It's the H. The one I liked was like, it didn't really have a name. It was like HW something and then a number sign.
Yep.
I said I like this, and then I think I listened to something else. I think it was called Questions, if I'm not. I was feeling it. It was so different from anything else, and that's why I kept listening. You know what I mean? Because it was something different. And as an artist, I can respect that because I don't want to hear the same thing all day long. So when you hear something new, it's refreshing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
The HPW, that HPW number 11, that one was inspired from this quote from the Baha'i faith, where it says basically things that it's said in so many different organized religions, where they say, you know, in order to really see God, you have to close your eyes. In order to hear him, you have to plug your ears. Like that whole notion of looking within to really find the love that God has for everybody. So that's what that song was about. And then Questions was just basically, that was really when I decided that no matter what I do, I'm going to involve God in it, because that's just authentically part of who I am. And I'm not going to shy away from that. And, you know, I'm just going to be unapologetically in love with the Lord. And that's what it is. So Questions was like that, for me, it was like that anthem of like, there's this historical figure. His name is Mullah Hussein. And he like took to battle to fight for the Bab, who was like considered in Iran or Persia at the time. He was like this manifestation who was saying, you know, oh, listen, there's this new word that's coming out, and that's where the Baha'i faith evolved from. So Mullah Hussein was like on the front line, and he was like the first one to die for the Bab. And so in that, I'm just basically like, yeah, I'm gonna be like Mullah Hussein, and my life is gonna be like this, like a battle for this Lord I proclaim. And that's where I was going with that. Just, you know, unapologetic things.
You remade Man in the Mirror, right?
Did mushrooms too.
Listen, all of my friends tell me, I don't do any drugs and I don't drink.
Yeah, we just
I act like I'm high all the time.
We just joking.
High on life, right? So you did Man in the Mirror, right? So like, what? I know it's a, you know, classic Michael Jackson song. What resonated with you to say, well, let me just go ahead and remake this song?
Yeah, really, there's three tracks that I did remakes for on my most recent album. And Man in the Mirror, that one, it was instrumental for me when I was younger, of like, you know, me deciding to really just look to myself to make the changes that I wanted to see in the world. And I really think that anybody as an individual, that's all we can do is that's the one thing that we have as a controllable. You know, there's these uncontrollables and then there's these controllables. And one of the controllables is how I act in a situation, how I treat my fellow human being or anything like that. So I think the lyrics in that song just say it so well. And when we were looking at everything that we were going through, and how the Black Lives Matter movement was so magnified during COVID in ways that we were finally getting through to people, because that, you know, Black Lives Matter didn't show up during COVID. We had been fighting this for so many years, and my husband he's very much involved in social justice on the front lines, and you know, in social activism. So to have so many people finally be like, oh, cops are still killing Black people. Oh, you know, it was like this thing that I was like, you know, yeah, and let's do something about that. Like, change the way that you are seeing us. Start with yourself. Let's move forward with this. Enough is enough. It's ridiculous we're still having these conversations. And so that's really why Man in the Mirror I felt it was a way that I could reiterate something that has been stated many times in a way that hopefully new ears will be able to hear it.
Yeah, Michael Jackson was ahead of his time, so that song was deep from the moment it came out. And I think that anybody who recognizes that and does the cover for it, you know, you got to be deep too, because you know, it's not one of those. It's not a light song. If you listen to the words, it's not a light song. You know what I mean? It's very heavy. It hits me like I'm not going to say the same, but well, it's similar to the way like Sam Cooke hits me, like his music, you know, because or a Marvin Gaye, like a real, maybe like a Marvin Gaye song that's not really popular. A lot of artists are ahead of their time. You know, I feel that way about Nas when it comes to rap. Like what Nas is about, it's like a lot of people can't touch him. A lot of people can't. It's not about what's in the mainstream. You have to listen and hear what they're saying. And Man in the Mirror is deep. It really is. So that was a cool cover to pick. And you know what's so funny? I played myself because we were sitting here talking, and I'm like, you know what? I gotta say this. I was gonna say, listen, I listened to your music, doesn't sound like anything else, and you didn't do any cover songs. What cover song did you do? I said, I can't answer that question because Mike was like, oh, you know, she did Man in the Mirror. I'm like, oh, that question.
She did Man in the Mirror. You know, a fun fact, we had a cousin that used to cry every time Man in the Mirror came on, and I don't know if he's listening to this. Yes.
Aww.
Big and buff now, but just like, yeah, he cried every time. I'm like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, we got a lot of goofballs in my family.
You know what's so crazy? I wanted to go back to something you said a little while ago when you were talking about the Black Lives Matter movement, right? Now we're all trapped in the house, you know, and all you see on TV is George Floyd, rest in peace. But you just keep seeing it over and over again. And it hurt me from the very first video where you see the people standing there filming him, because there's another video where you don't see them filming him. It's a different angle, and they're not what happened, how they disappeared. You know what I mean? But and I don't know if it was for their protection or what, but they were filming the whole time, and I forgot the exact amount of minutes. Please forgive me. I think it was 8 minutes and
40 seconds.
40 something seconds. Yeah.
Something like that. I know when all of the channels, it was one day after it happened, all of the channels went black for those many minutes that the knee was in his neck. And when I tell you, by 2 minutes, I was bawling. Like, because you don't realize like the time. Like you don't realize the time. I was bawling. I said, and
Not
then
me. I know the time. You ever been in a fight? You know how long 5 minutes is in a fight?
Yes.
It's a long time. It is
a long time, man.
Yeah.
Especially when you're not winning.
That's the fact.
But seriously, like that did something to me. You know what I mean? It did something to me to actually stare at a black screen with the time sitting up there, nothing but the time, and just we're all sitting in silence. I
think that was done during his funeral.
No, it was after, because
I thought he did it. I thought Al Sharpton did something like that at his funeral or something. Like
he might have did it at his funeral too.
Or one of them guys.
It was just, you know what? And what's so funny? I was telling my mother tonight, I said, I wish we could go back to 2020. I do.
Yeah.
I wish we could.
Why you say that?
Oh, so many reasons.
I understand.
For one, my money was up. You know what I'm saying? I didn't drive nowhere except for to the supermarket. My money was great. Okay. And then like the fact that it's just a lot of personal reasons, but I built a stronger relationship with my mother. I've been gone for 20 years. I was in Delaware. So come back here and have to spend all that time with somebody could either make or break you. So whoever you was in the house with, you know what I'm saying? That's why it's a blessing that so many marriages made it through, because a lot of people walked out of relationships. Like, I can't be around this person this much. You know what I'm saying?
Left their whole families, kids and everything. It's crazy.
So I mean, it was
choking kids and everything.
Yeah.
In a negative time, it did have some positive impacts. Like as far as I'm concerned, me and mine's over here. So yeah, I wish I could go back.
Yeah, I could see that. I had the same thing. I mean, like I said, my husband and I, we're basically like two ships passing in the night. So COVID hit, and I was like, "Oh, that's right, I do like you."
Hope so. Not you got a lot of explaining to do.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God.
I have 4 kids, so that was a crazy time. But
what are the ages? How old?
So my oldest just turned 21, and she's about to graduate from college. Then I have a 15-year-old, and then I have twins that are 8.
Wow.
You busy.
Twins is the problem.
Busy.
Yeah.
Twins is the problem, man.
Yeah, I always like to say, well, God saw I was getting bored, and he was like, she can't be bored.
You got something else to do. So, going back to what we were talking about earlier in terms of, women and, having to change themselves. This is a big thing, too, because you see this now, especially with the younger generation, and music. If at this rate, if you can last that long, it seems like one of these kids are getting killed every 2 seconds, But do you feel as an artist, and this is, just an honest answer if you can, do you have a responsibility to your audience? Because you don't know exactly how far your range go. And some people argue and say, well, it's not my responsibility. Lil Nas X actually got on the radio and said, F your kids, when asked the same question.
Oh, wow.
Most of his audience who, listened to that Old Town Road and put it on Kids Bop and things like that were kids.
Yeah.
I mean, me personally, looking at that video and all that stuff, that right there told you he had no responsibility for your kids. He didn't care, What are you thinking?
I'm sorry. He's a strange individual. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, just crazy in itself. But do you feel that there is a responsibility in regards to the music that you put out, the message that you put out? And I'm quite sure that you do. I know you do. But what is your take on that?
No, I absolutely feel like it is my responsibility. Yeah, I think it's also because I'm a mother. The most important thing for me to do on this planet right now is anything I can to alter the perception of how we are viewed. Anything I can do to alter that perception, no matter how small the impact, it needs that. I feel like I have to do that. It's that's me as a musical Stacey Abrams, whatever you want to call it. Like I just if we don't think about how we affect other people, then we're never going to move forward as in humanity. Just hands down, we'll be stuck in this situation that feels more like 1920 than 2020.
Right.
And I won't go out without doing everything I can. And I think every artist should do whatever they can.
I didn't want to backtrack, but even watching that thing with at the Oscars with Chris Rock and Smack, like it's tough for me to watch it. You know what I mean? Like I look at that almost like George Floyd, man. It's just like too tough for me to watch. I didn't watch the judge, for the longest. I've never actually saw the footage of George Floyd, actually, because people were saying like, oh, he's getting choked out, he's urinating on himself. I couldn't do it, man. I think it's like it took one day where I actually sat down and watched it, and I was like, you know what I mean? Some things, it's just for me, it's just I can't do it. It's too emotional. I'm not going to sit down and cry about it or anything like that, but it's just like, not today.
Yeah, that's understandable.
That trauma is real, and I'm the same way. I won't do it. We already know. We all know somebody who's been in that situation. We all, or maybe not. Maybe we've been blessed where we haven't. But if it wasn't us directly affected by the police, then we know somebody who has been.
That's true.
And something about it too. And again, I know I'm spiritual. I believe in the Bible, so I know the whole turn the other cheek. I have a hard time with coming up to that, And as I look at it, for something about it, I think it's just emasculating. You know what I mean? To watch Chris Rock get smacked, to watch George Floyd just just give up.
But this has been going on.
I'm not saying that he did anything wrong. I'm just saying that it was like it was
see
no
his
fight,
life leave his body like that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This has been going on for the test of time, though, from the slave fields. You know what I'm saying? This has always happened to our men. Always. It got to a point where a lot of slave men would kind of not even fight back for fear that something would happen to their wife and kids. So it's a mental thing that has been embedded in us, unfortunately, and a lot of our men carry this on. Like there was a little fight in George Floyd. He was trying to work with them a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like, but he also was like, let me go. Like, what are you doing? Like, same thing as God forgive me for forgetting his name because I don't forget what happened. I'm talking about the guy that they choked out here.
Eric Gardner.
Oh, I apologize. Yeah, like he was even like, "What are you doing? Like, I can't breathe. Like, what are you doing?"
Well, when I say fight, I mean like a fight. Like, we fight. Again, I have not a racist bone in my body. You know what I mean? But we fight each other, Black people, with like a intensity like no other.
Right.
You know what I mean? When it comes to other people harming us, it seems like it's not that kind of same energy. You know what I mean? It's weird to me. That's how I feel.
It's systematic. And I think it's been carried down from tradition to, it's been carried down from family to family, from generation to generation to generation. It's like an unspoken thing, and it is true. We'll go outside, Black women, we'll go outside and we will fight another Black woman. Your child touched my child, like all types of craziness. Fight each other over a guy, get back with the guy, fight our men. And, because that's what I think is going on with Will, allegedly. I think Jada's putting a pause on him because she just gave him a look and he went ham. He was laughing and then he went ham. So something's funny going on in that house. But I'm just saying, like, when it comes to other races, yeah, we don't even have the right words to say to defend ourselves at times because our nerves get in the way. You know what I mean? And that's the importance of us educating ourselves, raising our family up, like how we know, like how we were grounded to raise our family up, what our roots used to do. And just having these conversations like this just makes us better.
So, before we get ready to wrap everything up, what's next for you?
That's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
So I will say this is probably not too popular of a way of doing things, but I made a decision a long time ago that I don't do well making decisions. So honestly, I just allow every day to just kind of guide me where I'm going to go. I consider myself like the water in a river. That water's wherever the bank's going to hit, I'll be like, okay. And then I'm going to just move with that and see where things take me. So right now I'm feeling a energy to write more music. I'm also feeling an energy to help other Black women write music or get their stuff out there. So I really want to start collaborating with other Black women specifically and get some more alternative content, as I like to call it, out there. So we're not just talking about our breakups and how great we are, but just get more alternative content from Black women, and not just women. I shouldn't say that, but just.
That's okay. You can say that. That's okay. I'm the only female on this show. You can say that. Yes, you can. Yes. I want to ask you though, what month are you born in?
October.
You're a Libra?
Mm-hmm.
I was not getting Libra vibes. Oh no.
What vibes?
My mother's a Libra.
What vibes were you getting from me? I'm curious.
Pisces all day.
Yeah.
Oh, yep.
I'm in my feels a lot, but
look, I'm a Pisces. I don't cry all the time. Maybe I do. I cry when I'm happy. I cry when I'm mad. I cry when I'm sad. I cry. I do.
All right, we're gonna stop Miss Cleo here for a minute.
Yeah. My son is Dollar. That's my son.
We're gonna stop Miss Cleo before she starts getting in her rants.
Start reading poems or something like that.
Yeah, man. But listen, we're gonna let you go. Just tell everybody where they can where they can reach you at.
You can catch me on all streaming platforms. I'm on Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, YouTube, wherever you like to get your music. That's where I am, and I'm gonna keep doing some more and hopefully get some other people into the same kind of sphere.
Okay. All right, and we gotta get a chance to talk to your husband about this activism thing. See where we're going with this. Yeah. So yeah, definitely. Let's see what he getting into. All right. The Only One Mic podcast is available on all major platforms that you stream your podcast on. Please don't forget to rate the show and subscribe and smash up those likes. Also, if you'd like to get in contact with the Only One Mic podcast, you can reach us via email at theonlyonemike00@gmail.com, Facebook and LinkedIn at The Only One Mic Podcast, Instagram and Twitter at The Only One Mic P1. Also, Only One Mic Podcast on YouTube. Only One Mic Podcast. Don't put the in there because it's not going to come up. Only One Mic Podcast on YouTube. That way you can get these interviews as well. And as always, you say, speak your truth quietly and clearly and listen to others, even the dull and the ignorant, because they too have their story to tell. Once again, good to see you. Don't be a stranger. And as always, I say, never had to run from the Ku Klux Klan, and I shouldn't have to run from a black man. Peace. I like that one, huh?